It's not a very lengthy list of Orange freshmen that were just wildly consistent over the course of the year. Now, great. There have been some great, but consistent. So what you got out of that group right now, it's just not been a consistent group. It's got to be frustrating, and we are good to go. We will bring in Adrian Autry here. Red, as always, on a Monday, brought to us by Apex and the 110 Grill. Red, hello. Thanks for hopping on, as always, this week.
Thanks. Yeah, got a little bit behind today, just getting out of a meeting, but getting ready for practice.
I can feel you there. You got practice coming up here. You'll be down on the court shortly, and officially starting at 4. But you guys do a lot of stuff before you officially start, as we know. What's the vibe around the team right now, Red? That was a loss on Saturday. Like, you've lost some close games. That there have not been many this year that have gone like that. How have you noticed the team handling it after the fact here in the next couple days?
Well, yesterday was our day off, and we get going in a couple of hours. So an hour or so. So we'll get a chance to reconvene, get together, and see them from since the game was over with. So I think at the end of the day, we knew this was going to be a tough stretch. That game in particular was one of the games that we just didn't play well. Offensively, I thought we did some things good defensively, but our offense, obviously, 55 points is not going to be enough. We need Jesse to play really well. They had a game plan for him. That was, the first time that he didn't get into double digits in a long time. I thought Judah and Joe gave us all that they could give us, and the rest of the team, we just had to do better offensively. So, but at this time, at this stage of the season, you got to learn from that and move on. We got four remaining games, all important games to finish up this season strong.
The next two, obviously, at Clemson, at Pittsburgh. You're playing two right now, the top 4 or 5 teams in the league on the road, back-to-backs. And you mentioned Jesse. How tough was that? I mean, Duke's got large guys. I mean, they have multiple 7-footers out there. They were swarming him, double-teaming that. We know Jesse hasn't had a game like that, I don't know, maybe since the first Virginia game going back, Red. How tough was that for him to deal with on Saturday?
Yeah, I think, it was the first time that he's seen, double teams, which he's been getting double teams this year. But it was the first time that, he played against a team that, the guy that was coming to double him was his size, so they had really 2 7-footers in Filipowski and Lively, really jamming the passing lanes when he tried to make a couple of passes. So that was difficult. We just, again, we didn't get him the ball in better positioning, and we got to do a better job of that. But, like I said, the one thing about Duke is they're one of the best defensive teams. You take away, outside of Virginia, they want.
Is Red? Do we lose Red there? Did Red freeze on us? I think we. Oh wait, Red dropped. Red's back.
I'm back.
I think there you are. No worries, Red. It was like a little blip, and now you're back here. But you're talking about it right. How tough it is with all that size coming at Jesse. What can you do about it in those situations? Because it feels like at this point of the year, like, what it is. Like, you need Joe to have a big game, you need Judah to have a big game, and you need production from Jesse. Like, you need all three, it feels like, every game. So when they're doing that to Jesse, or, pick one, it could have been Joe or Judah. But when it's like that, how do you kind of work around that in this season? Or is it just, man, you need those three, and that's just what it is right now?
I mean, those three are important. They get a bulk in the majority of the shots. Obviously, the other guys, Chris Bell and Malik and Benny, we got to get production from them as well. So when Jesse was struggling, we got to get production from other guys. That just didn't happen that last game. So not much you can do. You just got to keep battling and fighting when that happens. But I think the biggest thing what we take out of that is when Jesse is struggling, we have to be able to go somewhere else and try to do some different things to get him the ball maybe in different areas or use him, so to speak. And Duke did a phenomenal job defensively. That was one of those games where, like, they really took some things away from us, and that hadn't happened in a while, and they made Judah and Joe really work for every shot. They're a good defensive team, so they did a good job defensively.
And, you said that you thought the team played well on defense for the most part, and, save for maybe that run late in the first half. I think I'd agree with that from Saturday. Duke came into the game. They were not a great three-point shooting team this year, Red. What led to them hitting those threes? Is that just like this is what you wanted them to do, and they happened to go in this game, or was it not quite guarded tight enough on the outside for what you were looking for?
Yeah, I thought they got some really open looks. They got some open looks that they haven't had in the past. And a lot of times, when they made that run, if you exclude that run, they got those same shots earlier and they missed them. Mm-hmm. But, once they got that run, I think they settled down, they got comfortable. So now, they didn't have any game pressure on them. So they got a chance to get some shots, without game pressure. And when you can shoot shots without game pressure, sometimes that's the difference.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, right? When it's not a 3-point
right.
game or something, and you're lining up a three from the outside. As Red Autry is our guest, as he is every Monday at 2:30, brought to you by Apex and the 110 Grill, both which can be found inside Destiny USA. Red, we know this. We've talked about this. It's been an up and down season for your forward group, and it looked like both Chris and Justin struggled. I feel like in the past, okay, if one struggles, we'll put the other in, and maybe it's their day. How tough is it when both of them are kind of off from the outside like they were on Saturday?
Yeah, that's tough for us. We typically get from that spot at least 10 to 14 points, and we rely on that between those two combined. Sometimes it's one person that may have a big game that get it, whether it's Justin or Chris. But typically combined, they normally give us, anywhere from 6 to 8 points, a piece. So we miss that, production from that group, that 3 spot. So that's big for us. We need those points from that spot.
Red, I think Red froze. A couple little freezes here from Red. We'll
I'm back.
Filibuster till. Oh, Red's back. Okay. The internet's just getting you a little bit here today, Red. That's okay. These things happen here. I think I signed
on a different way, so that's probably the reason why.
I wasn't going to put it on you, Red. I'm just going to blame the internet at large. That feels good to me. It explains a lot, I think, in the world in 2023. Yeah, it was the internet's fault. I don't know if there's a question in here, Red, but Judah's pretty good, huh? This dude, like every game, it's talk about consistency. I've been talking about consistency from freshmen, talking about with Bell and Taylor, how much of a struggle. Like Judah's in his own category here, and I can't think of many Orange freshmen over the years that fit in the category of bringing it pretty much every game as a freshman, like Judah's done over the the last month or two. Right, I
would have to agree with you, Brian. He's been there for us pretty much every game. He had a couple of bad games, but for the most part, he's been there game in and game out. He's a gamer. He's really good. He's a talented player. He just continues to get better and get more comfortable as the season goes along. And a lot of times you don't see that in freshmen. It's typically up and down. Sometimes they may start off really, really hot and then slow down, and then they kind of meet. They kind of fall in between there, but he's been getting better late in the season, and we need that, to be competitive and to try to finish out this season strong. So.
All right, Red, let's take these next two games at Clemson on Wednesday night. That's a 7 o'clock tip down at Little John. Hey, Clemson's been really good this season. They had a real tough loss to Louisville over the weekend, but they've been pretty consistent in ACC play. They got P.J. Hall. Speaking about Jesse going against a big guy, that'll be the case on Wednesday night. What are you seeing when you take a look at this Clemson team?
Physical team. They have some veterans. They play well at home. They're having a tremendous season. One of the best teams in our league. So they've been in a lot of battles. They've won a lot of close games. So it'll be a battle for us. It'll be a challenge for us. But, all Clemson teams are always going to be physical. They're going to defend. And then this year, this is probably one of their better offensive teams that they've had in a while. They have, 4 or 5 guys that can – they're 4 and 5 man are their best, 3-point shooters, and they can step out and shoot, and they physical down low. So they have versatility, offensively. So it's always a tough game. It's a road game. So, nothing new in the ACC.
And then, hey, speaking of nothing new, it'll be your second game against Pitt coming up on Saturday at the Pete. I think you know how tough it is to go in there regardless of what Pittsburgh's all about. But basically, ever since they've been in the Dome before Christmas, right, they've been essentially the best or second best team in the league now for the last month or two.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal. Them, Virginia, and Clemson, those 3 have been really consistent in what they've been doing and how they've been playing. That's why they're at the top of their league. And, the Pete is always a tough place to play. It'll be a Saturday game, so I'm sure it'll be sold out. Expect a big crowd. They played well, so they have their fans back. You know, it was down for a couple of years, and now with the season that they're having, I'm sure it'll be a great atmosphere in there.
And lastly, Red, I'm imagining you can't actually say anything about this right now, but it looks like within the last little bit, you guys got a commitment for next year. So a wink if that happened, and congratulations on that for you guys reeling in a recruit for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that Red's following the rules there. That is all that Red can say about that. That tells us all we need to know. All right, Red, didn't want to put you on the spot there, but just saw that news pop up during our chat. So good news as far as the roster going forward. Thanks as always, Red, for a few minutes on Monday, and good luck this week at Clemson and at Pittsburgh coming up on Saturday.
Thank you.
That is Red Autry. Practice coming up here in just a few minutes. They'll kick it off for real at 4. I'm sure Red will head downstairs shortly. For all the little pre-practice stuff they do. Apex and 110 Grill and Destiny bringing you Red as always. The recruit, as reported by Mike McAllister, who reports these things so very well. His name is William Patterson. He is out of the New Heights and Patrick School, which is in, the school is in New Jersey. He is from Brooklyn. Speaking of size, this guy stands at 7 feet 2 inches tall, 220 pounds, and picked the Orange over offers from Oklahoma State, the home of one Woody Newton, TCU, the home of one Jamie Dixon, and Rutgers, the home of the Rack. So 7'2", William Patterson. This is for the class of next year, not 2 years from now. Like all these other recruits we've been talking about recently are class of 2024. There had been nobody that would have been an incoming freshman in the fall. So 2023 William Patterson is coming in the fall. His lead recruiter, according to Mike, I'm sure this is true, is Alan Griffin. So Alan getting a big for his spot. Patterson, I'm just reading Mike's article here off SI.com. Patterson was at the last game, or after the last game. So I guess that was the Duke game. The Duke game would have been the last game. No, he's talking about his last game. Patterson said he had dunks. He had 0 dunks in the Duke game, so he made up his mind after his last game and was up at camp up here and the whole thing. So the Orange have a big coming in next year now. Up to the date. Breaking news. Breaking news. How do we have breaking news without the Breaking News Center? Breaking news, William Patterson, a 7'2" center out of Brooklyn, will be joining the Orange basketball team in the fall. More updates as events warrant. Courtesy of Mike McAllister. Thank you, Mike. With that, we'll take a break. We'll come back and recap our weekend of picks. They were meh. Yeah, I'd say that best describes it. The man that sort of knows was all over Daytona. Daytona, as we know, can be a bit of a crapshoot. It did not crapshoot in his direction this week. We'll recap that next. In the next hour, Joe Lenardi will join us at 3:30. Tim Leonard will pop in for a bit, maybe a recap of his last few days up and down the East Coast and all over hell and gone with the women's hoops and men's lacrosse team, and a little update on the lacrosse weekend as well. Your calls in the future, too. 315-437-7644 for ESPN 44. It's QSportsTalk.com, ESPN Radio.